Today I'm trying to beat Sekiro's biggest mod, Sekiro Resurrection. This mod adds a lot of new stuff, from new boss movesets to items or new mini-bosses and a ton more. So without wasting any more time, let's get into it. The start of the mod was business as usual. I got my sword and the healing gourd, then went about the business of stabbing people. But suddenly, a shinobi hunter showed up out of nowhere and shoved his stick so far up my ass. There are a lot of new enemy placements like this, but his moveset was actually the same as a normal shinobi hunter, so he wasn't that difficult to take down. After I killed him, he dropped a Mibu balloon of skill, which is actually a new item, and if you use it, it just gives you a skill point. Simple as that. The next mini-boss is the perfect opportunity to mention the new gameplay mechanic, recoil counter. Basically, every time you deflect a really strong attack, you can do a fast counter attack which does a lot of damage. The fight with Genichiro wasn't the worst, but I actually made a mistake and got hit by his grab attack and lost the fight. There is no need to worry though, a rematch is coming. Anyway, I woke up, got a new arm, and made my way to Gyobu. On my way I saw Tengu fighting some of those purple shinobis. I gave him a helping hand, looted the bodies, and moved on. Then I got the shuriken prosthetic, but the guy next to it just decided to explode for some reason. I really hope this won't be a problem later on. After that I killed another mini-boss and came across a new enemy type, which is basically a lesser version of the 7 Spears mini-boss, and he was actually quite difficult to kill. I also got the bell and the firecrackers. Next was the ogre fight, and if you think this mini-boss is difficult in the base game, this is that on steroids. He is just crazy. I did kill him my first try though, I mean barely killed him. After that I killed another mini-boss. All of these guys with big swords, they are all basically the same thing. They do have some new attacks though, but I actually think it makes the fight easier. The snake part was basically the same. I stabbed him in the eye, got the snap seeds and ran away. The Gyobu boss fight was a massive improvement in my opinion. Gyobu in the base game is kind of a joke, because you can just hold down the block button and this boss will beat itself, but this time around it was a proper fight. But I did actually beat him my first try. After that I met Tengu again, and he showed me some of his moves. I also bought a gourd seed from this guy. Next I had to fight the bull, and I was expecting this fight to be a pain, but I think they made this fight much easier, because it was taking so much more damage than usual. Genichiro was the next big fight, but before that I had to kill 4 mini-bosses. The first one was one of the 7 Spears, and he had some really hard hitting moves, but because he was so slow I could deflect all of his attacks with no problem. The second one was just one of those big sword guys, and he was really easy to defeat. But the third one was actually a new mini-boss, and he has some crazy new attacks, including this one. I actually died to him twice, just because how overpowered that move is. But all I had to do was to dodge his crazy suicide attack, so I guess it wasn't that bad. And the last one was just an Ashina elite. And he had a bunch of new attacks, but it was not a difficult fight. And now it's time for one of the best fights in this mod, Genichiro. The original Genichiro is actually a really good fight, but somehow this mod makes it even better, and also much more difficult. Then I talked to Kuro, and he told me to get 2 items. The first one was the Mortal Blade, and the second one was a flower or something, I don't remember. I decided to get the Mortal Blade first, so I made my way to the Senpu Temple. On my way I met the Bell Mercenary. This guy isn't usually a mini-boss, and honestly his moveset was exactly the same, but it was a cool fight. Then I came across a lone shadow mini-boss, and as you can see I'm fighting the toughest enemy in the entire game, the camera. Then I spoke to this homeless lady and she told me to jump off a cliff. I said sure, but before doing that I wanted to go through the Hirata state. So I traveled back in time somehow and made my way to Lady Butterfly. There are 2 new mini-bosses in this area. Well, new in sense that they weren't here before. In truth, they're both the same version of the lone shadow mini-boss. The first one was easy enough to kill. He did have this smoke attack and it actually took me by surprise the first time he did it. But all I had to do was to dodge, and he would miss. It was an easy fight. The second one was somehow even easier. Also, he was bald, which is really weird. The drunkard mini-boss was basically unchanged. I did die like an idiot though, but it wasn't a big deal. I just got up and finished the job. Although I can't say the same thing about Lady Butterfly. She had a lot of new attacks, but the most annoying one by far was this jumping attack she did every time you stomped on her. And for the second phase, instead of summoning a bunch of useless minions, she summons a phantom version of herself, which isn't too difficult to dodge, but if she hits you, it does a lot of damage. But it wasn't a big deal, I could just use the snap seeds. And this was actually another first time kill. Robert was next, and boy, this was one intense fight. Just look at this, he's basically a lunatic. Not much happened after that, and the only thing worth mentioning is the fact that this guy is now a mini-boss. There's nothing different about him though, it's just a mini-boss now. And unfortunately I lost the footage for the monkey chasing part, but it was basically unchanged, and if anything it was much easier this time around. Anyway, I got the mortal blade and went to kill the big monkey. Honestly, I was expecting this fight to be a nightmare, but his first phase wasn't that different from the base game. His second phase had a bunch of new attacks, but I actually think it made the fight easier. Then I got the flower and gave it to Kuro. Then he told me to go and get the stone. But before I could get the stone, I had to kill a bunch of bosses. The first one was the Snake Eye mini-boss, which I just backstabbed like a coward. Right after that, I had to kill the big monkey again. But this time, he actually had his girlfriend with him. Isn't it funny how Monkey has a girlfriend and I don't? The second monkey was actually much easier to kill than usual, and with her gone, the fight was already over. Then I killed another drunk man, which was much tankier than usual, but other than that, this fight was unchanged. Same goes for the Miss Noble. I mean, it's still the toughest boss in history of gaming, but I managed to only get hit once, so it's all good. Then I came face to face with the corrupted monk. She had much longer combos than usual, but honestly I think this actually made the fight much easier, because I don't have to worry about attacking her, and I could just deflect over and over, and this fight wasn't a big problem. Anyway, I got the stone, went back, and actually saw a new mini-boss. The only way to kill this guy was to damage his posture bar, just like the armored warrior. And honestly, this was a fantastic fight. But then I had a choice to make: obey the Iron Code or stay loyal to Kuro. The fight with Owl was actually tough as hell, and pretty much the first real challenge of this mod. Just like the base game, he has a lot of tricks. He can heal his posture, disable your healing, poison you, do some crazy kickflips, and all in all, a really tricky boss fight. And this fight actually took me 5 attempts to beat, a really difficult fight in my opinion.
You taught me well. That's my boy.
Then I talked to Kuro again, and he asked me to kill a dragon. And you know what? I'm starting to think this isn't a very safe work environment. Anyway, I was waiting in a bus stop, and suddenly a massive rope showed up and turned me into pancakes. And somehow I woke up in the Fountainhead Palace. The True Monk boss fight was a massive improvement in my opinion. This is actually my favorite boss in the entire game, and somehow this mod manages to make it even better. The first phase is basically the same as the Corrupted Monk, which is to say pretty good. And I actually could not skip the second phase, although it wasn't a big deal, I just got hit by the ghost a few times. And the last phase was kind of crazy. She attacked much faster than usual, and the attacks themselves were much more unpredictable. But I actually killed her on my first attempt, which was pretty damn lucky to be honest. The rest of this area was not changed in any way, and the Divine Dragon fight itself was much less tedious than usual. Anyway, I got the tears and went back. And now there is only one boss left. But before that, I want to show you the coolest boss fight in the entire game. That felt amazing, by the way. Saint Sword Ishin was without a single doubt the toughest boss in the entire mod. He has a crazy amount of new moves. But that wasn't such a big deal, I could easily learn his moveset with no problem. No, the real problem is the fact that he just does way too much damage. Honestly, fighting this version of Ishin feels like fighting the regular Ishin on New Game Plus 4. and I think the fight itself was bugged because every time I returned his lightning attack, it basically did no damage. Anyway, after 2 hours of trying and failing, I managed to take him out in the coolest way possible.
Your side. Take the dragon tears.
Sworn shinobi, now. Sever these ties of immortality.